It is Wednesday, October 1st, the first day of fall in the United States and Canada, and this is a show called What Chaos? Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is David Bean. I sit beside Pete Blackburn, and across the room is Sean DePaz. Boys, let's play some ball.
Yeah, baseball?
Big baseball.
Oh, baseball is awesome. It's so back. I walked into the studio.
Lose.
First thing I heard this morning from DJ, it was not what I was expecting to hear. He was like, baseball is so back. It's so back. And he's right. He's
baseball
right.
Baseball never left. Baseball's been
Well,
here.
no. The reason why he said baseball is so back is because you got a pitcher's duel yesterday between the Red Sox and Yankees, and the Red Sox won the game by playing with a little bit more feel than the Yankees did. Fuck the analytics when you're talking about a starting pitcher who is absolutely in a groove. Ask the Tampa Bay Rays how that works. Ask the New York Yankees how that works. If your guy is fucking dialed and he's got 100 pitches, fuck that. Send him back out there. Thank you to the New York Yankees. Thank you to Aaron Boone. You fucking bozos suck.
I don't like how you talk about Aaron Boone. That's my favorite manager of all time.
He's also
He's
getting up there on my Mount Rushmore.
Not a single goddamn person in the history of professional sports that is more consistent in their respective postseasons than Aaron Boone. Every single year, it's death, taxes, and Aaron Boone making a terrible bullpen decision that fucks over the New York Yankees.
Which
my favorite thing in the world.
So ironic that the reason Aaron Boone got the New York Yankees managerial job is because he was a postseason hero. And time and time again, that guy shits his pants in the playoffs as a coach.
First time in MLB history that a team has loaded the bases with no outs in the ninth inning and not scored a single run. First time in MLB history that's happened. And the last time we played the Yankees in the playoffs, we made history because it was the first cycle in the history of postseason baseball. Shout out Brock Holt, all-time utility player.
Okay, let me tie this back to hockey. I do not hate analytics. I think analytics are good, and I think that people who rail against analytics are annoying. However, just like I enjoy analytics more than anything, I enjoy cool stuff. So if someone were to say, hey, we've got a power play for, say, the Colorado Avalanche, and we figured it out. It's kind of crazy, but by resting Cale Makar on the power play, where they have a higher chance of scoring on the power play than in 5-on-5 anyway, allowing him more 5-on-5 minutes, I would say maybe that's right. That's not as cool as me watching Cale Makar on the power play. I got to go with that one. Last night, analytics say it's better to not go too deep. Once a pitcher goes past this part, they run the risk of, once you take that pitcher out, you run the risk of this not being a throwback great game anymore.
Yeah, and there's an element too that sports analytics are great and they're useful and they make you smarter and you should use them wherever you can. But at the end of the day, there is a feel to sports and there is a momentum factor to sports. And the reason that you play the game, the reason that we love sports, the reason that it's so dramatic is that you can't always predict what happens, whether it's a fucking computer, whether it's the percentages. At some point, you have to play the games and you have to make the decisions. And that's where it can't just be played on a computer.
Biggest sports fan I ever covered was probably Milan Lucic. And sometime around 2012, 2013, this guy would talk about any sports, tennis, whatever. He knew everything about everything. And his style of play was not beloved by analytics. He's a bruising kind of guy. That doesn't always do so great with the analytics. So I asked him one day, I was like, you know every stat I've ever heard of. What do you think of analytics? And he was like, I think they are so stupid. They don't make a lick of sense to me. I ignore them completely. And I was like, well, like this is what analytics say about Patrice Bergeron, a guy who Milan Lucic would shout from the rooftops is like, why don't people get that this guy is like one of the best players in the league? And I was like, analytics back up everything that you say. And he was like, okay, well then they can like serve their purpose in some points. And that was coming from like a crusty anti-analytics point of view, but that's a good little encapsulation of it, I think, where like it'll back up good stories and it'll give you good ideas. But yeah, rule of cool, man.
Yeah, it should always supplement and enhance a story. It should not tell the story.
Okay.
Only thing I'll say is we don't talk about the times analytics is right, which is
that is very
98% of the time. Like, obviously, we talk about Blake Snell and the Rays because that was like the most drastic example of it. But they got to the World Series doing analytics. Just saying.
Yeah. Someone in the chat said as I look strong. Anytime my body changes, it means I've just put weight on. But thank you very much. Sean, could you set Pete up to tell us? Oh, we got a super chat first, actually. Aaron Boone can kick rocks, says Eric Ripperson.
Again,
that's an interesting skill.
Don't talk about my manager like that. I want him to die very far from now, very long time from now as the manager of the New York Yankees.
Okay, Pete, tell the folks on the show today.
Can't wait to make the quote graphic that says, I want him to die, Sean DePaz on Aaron Boone.
No, that's the exact opposite of my sentiment.
It's a literal quote, Sean.
So much baseball talk.
Today on What Chaos, we're going to talk about the Kirill Kaprizov extension. That mega deal finally came through this week. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the impacts that'll have. We'll also discuss fallow or Phillip, or fallow of Phillip. Or is that a typo?
That would probably be my typo, but it should be fallow or Phillip.
Fallow or Phillip. That's got to be on the Florida Panthers because no team is attached to the word fallow like the Florida Panthers.
Confirmed that was my typo. Justice for Sean.
Fucking bozo. We're going to be joined by Daniel Amigone, the showrunner of Face Off Inside the NHL. Season 2 is about to hit your Prime Video app on Friday. 2 days away. It's awesome. And I'm biased, but it's awesome. And our conversation with Daniel is awesome. Don't miss that later in the show. And then finally, Leon Draisaitl's hawking Tylenol. Is this problematic for the NHL? We'll discuss.
Let's quickly begin with that because there is Oilers news off the top, and there's so much stuff we got to get to that I think squeezing it into grab-ass/baseball talk might be the best way to address it. Number one, yes, Leon Draisaitl, Sean, is hawking Tylenol, which we already saw this summer. The guy got addicted to cigarettes, and now he's pushing controversial drugs.
This is bad for the Oilers. This is very bad.
This is no one knows what's happening with Connor McDavid. We got goaltending questions that maybe they might have answered possibly, but their top star is turning to drugs, both taking them and pushing them on people. I was watching the news the other day, and this politician was saying some bad things about Tylenol. He even heard a rumor, he didn't know if it was true, but that no one in Cuba has autism because people can't afford Tylenol. Mm-hmm. In America, they can afford Tylenol, and there is autism. So to quote this politician, tell me about that. And Leon's pushing this stuff?
I think we're on Is the Train Leaving the Station watch in Edmonton, and Leon Draisaitl is going to be obsessed with that train.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like that. I thought you were just saying that was because it was at a train station. The picture was.
I mean, that's part of it, yes. But, yeah.
Okay.
Just keep an eye out for that.
Let's immediately get off this. And, Sean, you had news for us this morning?
Connor Ingram was traded to the Edmonton Oilers.
Connor Ingram, formerly of the Arizona Coyotes, formerly of Utah Hockey Club, briefly of the Utah Mammoth, traded to the Edmonton Oilers this morning. A lot of people I know, when the team said that they were going to waive him, a lot of people were saying Edmonton makes sense for them to claim him. I was not one of those people. I subscribed to what Tyler Yaremchuk said, which is probably no one's going to claim this guy. Why don't you wait till he passes through waivers, then call up GMBA, say, you want to retain on this guy? Trade him to us. We'll bury him in the minors because he's already cleared waivers, and then he just becomes, I think, Pete, like what he's better off being right now, which is organizational depth piece that maybe at some point steals a job.
Yeah, insurance. He's goaltending insurance, which is, I mean, I would say that the Oilers are like their need classifies as like a step above insurance, but it never hurts to have the insurance. And this is a low risk flyer on a player that probably deserves it and can serve a valuable purpose to the Edmonton Oilers down the road.
He's going to cost $1.1 million, which is like nothing. It's what Calvin Pickard makes. It's something that honestly, I think maybe they should have done 2 years ago when the shit was hitting the fan with Jack Campbell and everyone was like, just get anybody, just get somebody. And they were like, you know what? We're just going to make Stuart Skinner our starter like 4 years earlier than we planned on doing it. The only thing about this that upsets me, and granted, like we're talking about a third string goaltender right now, is I wanted them to get someone who was going to be a spare part somewhere else. I'm more like Michael DiPietro from the Bruins because I think at some point they're going to have to trade him anyway. I don't think he's going to get through waivers. Maybe I'm wrong. I wanted Edmonton to be in on that. But for folks who said, Edmonton, please get a goalie, they've kind of gotten a goalie, so there's that.
I mean, DiPietro would cost you something, though. And this like really doesn't cost them anything.
And
also,
no disrespect to future considerations.
Connor Ingram was pretty good at a point.
Right.
Like, he was the starter in Utah before he left.
And obviously, like, this goes without saying, like, you hope that Connor Ingram is like in a good place and can get back to being the best version of himself on the ice if, you know, he's handled some of the off the ice stuff. So, like, that's worth keeping an eye on. Like, there's a potential for us to forget that Connor Ingram is stashed in Edmonton and be reminded later in the season, and that end up being a pretty big deal.
yeah, I mean, Merrick, I think it's Merrick who has done this. He's really pounded. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was Elliot Friedman. Not all Canadians are the same, but they're all very lovely. Has really pounded that Oilers players don't want them to get rid of Calvin Pickard.
Yeah.
Which I think that sometimes someone needs to make an executive decision and be like, guys, you're the best. You guys play. We will figure out the rest of it. Let's talk about all the contracts that have been signed the last couple of days. The biggest one, of course, Kirill Kaprizov signs 8 years times $17 million per That one hit me. Like you sent me that in the group text, and that one stung because I was I was a blank check guy. And then I saw that the blank check actually happened, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes I roll my eyes at the resetting the market talk, but this one is emphatically resetting the market.
Can I give you a crazy number?
Yes.
And it might be wrong because I found this number. When Leon Draisaitl became the highest paid player in the league, he exceeded the previous guy by $750K. Austin Matthews had signed a deal that was going to pay him $13.25. Leon signed for $14. Hopefully the math is right so far. When Kirill Kaprizov signed yesterday to make himself the highest paid player in the league, he exceeded the other guy, Leon, by $3 million per. When's the last time? It's definitely never happened where someone has reset the market by $3 million per. This isn't the NBA where guys are making $90 million a year.
Right. Definitely not in like the hard cap era.
No.
Like this is bananas. And I said it when we talked about when the report came out that he turned down $16 million per. I said, like, I don't know if I would have even like felt comfortable offering him $16 million per. Like, he's obviously an unbelievable player, but like the contract projections from AFP Analytics had him at $14 million. So you're talking about 16, that's $2 million over. He signs for 17, $3 million over. And yeah, the cap's going up. The percentage that he's going to take up is going to dwindle or go down. But like, that is a massive price tag, especially for a guy who missed half of the year last year, basically. And like, yes, when he stays on the ice, he's the engine of that team. And ultimately, I kind of like surprisingly end up more on your side of the street when you say like they just had to do it.
They have to.
They had to do it. And like he strong-armed them and leveraged his position as well as he possibly could have to put the money in his pocket. And they just kind of had to say, all right, fine. And to a certain extent, I give Bill Guerin credit for
saying the funniest thing in the world at the press conference.
Yeah, being like, we didn't want to give this guy this.
Is that what you're going to say?
No, I was going to say I give Bill Guerin credit for, like you said, like if you want do you want the player? He said, yes, we fucking want the player, as they should have. And now the pressure is really, really on both Kirill Kaprizov and the Minnesota Wild because this contract says we have decided we are in our win now window. And we give out this deal. We overpay this guy to keep him here. And when this contract kicks in, if you win a Stanley Cup, nobody will complain about $17 million annually. But if you fail to put the roster around him and you have these holes that come as a result of paying one guy $17 million annually, that's going to be tough. And the spotlight is going to be on him to be worth that and the team to actually finish off the job and win a Stanley Cup.
Okay, what do McDavid and Reichel do now? Because added to this whole equation is that two players who, at least I will say, I think you would agree, two players who are both better than Kirill Kaprizov are going into walk years. And
wait, who's the second one?
Jack Eichel.
I'm not. We'll say one. Emphatically one player that's better.
Yeah. I maybe I was just going for style points or making it punchier. I was. I was so much.
Don't ask Sean.
It's not even a Jack Eichel thing. It's like I feel like, and people were reminded last year, but like once Kirill Kaprizov started going off at the beginning of last year, people were acting like it was coming out of nowhere.
Yes,
like Kirill Kaprizov
annoying.
2 years prior was like a 100-point player. He's fucking awesome. So.
It also, look no further than last year at how important Kirill Kaprizov is to the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking like MVP shit, then
when he wasn't playing, they were a completely different team. He comes back at the end of the year. They looked awesome.
They went from a President's Trophy team to being a wild card team. And the reason they were a wild card team was because their MVP gave them a President's Trophy like lead up so they could drop off. Were they the wild card? They were third in the division or a wild card? No, they played Vegas in the first round, so they had to have been wild card.
Yeah.
Very good job, DJ. Yeah. Okay, two great players who are, we'll say two players who are in their mid-ish to late 20s, one of whom is clearly better than Kaprizov, the other of whom is more accomplished than Kirill Kaprizov, are both going into walk years. Granted, not all situations are the same. Shout out that book that Elliot Friedman always references from The Basketball Agent, where he says a good agent will remind a team, that's that guy's situation. Mm-hmm. This is our situation. For example, Eichel's situation in Vegas, much different than Kaprizov. Eichel has made a lot of money in his career. He's also playing in Nevada. No state income tax, so he doesn't need to make as much money. Connor McDavid, I don't think anyone has thought would go for top dollar, but I've been seeing a ton of, well, can McDavid take less than 17 now? I'll ask you that.
Not if you ask the PA, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, like, so that's the thing. It's like, I will not say that there's a non-zero chance that Connor McDavid takes less than $17 million in Edmonton.
Yes.
Because, like, he can position it as, like, we are trying to win a Stanley Cup. I'm prioritizing that. It's gonna be a hard sell, I think, to the NHLPA, especially if he hits free agency. Like, you cannot have Connor McDavid, who is arguably the most talented player to ever play the game, hit a free agency sweepstakes and have him come in under what Kirill Kaprizov signed for.
What about if, just poking at the old calendar, it's October 1st, Pete's official first day of spring or whatever? Has it been?
It's already fall.
It's already fall as soon as football. Yeah.
Okay, right. I
and
apologize.
it is technically fall as well.
Okay.
It is, yes.
Well, spiritually and literally.
Today is the spiritual start of Halloween. You
is that right?
It's spooky season.
Spiritual Halloween stores open back up?
I mean, spiritually, it's been in like at a Michael's. It's been Halloween since May. They've had that shit there all summer. But
shout out Michael's.
Start of spooky season.
Okay.
I feel like spiritually Halloween season starts the day that kids go back to school.
I need it to be October.
The stores have to swap out their
school
back
supplies?
to school stuff for Halloween stuff.
Okay, boys, good job. Today is October 1st. Do you know what October 6th is spiritually and literally?
2 months before his favorite day. 2 months before
Damn
his
it,
day.
I had to do the math first. God damn it, Sean.
It's the last day of, and by this point, it's on me that I'm trying to like walk you guys to this because
you can't use a
you're
month
having a
and
blast,
6.
but you're a tough group to keep track of, keep hold of right now. What is October 6th? It's It's the last day of
the off season.
last day something can happen in the history of NHL.
Sign a 8-year deal.
Nope. Sign a contract.
With
Deferred money.
Yeah.
Ooh.
October 6th is the last day because October 7th that goes away because they're implementing new parts of the CBA in a kind of rolling fashion. So, what if Connor McDavid signs a $15.5 million AAV and he makes more than all that? Frank Saravalli says it doesn't seem like Connor McDavid cares to do that, to which I'm like, Connor, don't start to piss me off here. Like, if something big is going to happen, I feel, and if he's going to make a ton of money, I think that we're kind of on a bit of a watch for that to happen. Not that if that deadline passes, that or that he could sign a deal without deferred money leading up to it, but we do have like a little benchmark here where Connor McDavid could get an extra big bag.
That's interesting.
I don't understand why players don't defer money more. I get that you want
Do it as long as you can do it.
You want
Right.
your money now, but like the idea of having 10, 15 years after I'm done playing, still getting $1 million paychecks sounds pretty nice.
Asking what day certain things were is really got the chat active.
Especially if it's a sixth. Like that's setting everybody up for failure.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we got so excited. Because it's
Big anniversary.
Yes. It's
Okay.
something 3 months
I
out.
do think, I agree with you. I think that if McDavid signs in Edmonton, it's going to be for less then. Is that what you were saying? Or you're saying
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
be?
No,
I think
I would say
will
I'd
be.
say the only chance that he signs for less is in Edmonton.
Okay, just for the hell of it. Kirill Kaprizov is worth $17 million a year, let's say. Let's say these are all bad agents and bad teams who are not reading that basketball book that Elliot Friedman always talks about. If Kirill Kaprizov is worth $17 million, what is Connor McDavid worth?
At least 20.
22
Yeah,
is my guess.
I was going to say at least 20.
Yeah, like
And-
5 million more sounds. 4 to 5 million more sounds very appropriate.
And I think like Jack Eichel's worth like 18 and a half or something. Shit could get really crazy really quick, but I don't think like we're all guessing Eichel probably does something before McDavid does something, which breaks my heart. But I don't think that the Knights are in trouble with Jack Eichel.
Yeah, I would say that worries me less than.
Is it just that we're not talking about that because we've had bigger fish to fry with Kaprizov and McDavid?
No, I think that there's just less smoke signals with Eichel being interested in anything else.
And I feel like-
and why would Eichel want to leave?
Especially after Marner.
And he's won there. And it's like kind of Vegas. They don't, as we've learned in other ways recently, like they don't really talk about shit. I feel like you don't really hear a lot about like their front office. Things just like trade deadline, things just happen.
Okay.
Before we move off this, I do want to ask the question, like, if you're a Minnesota Wild fan, you're obviously happy that Kirill Kaprizov is staying, but do you have like a sour taste in your mouth that he drove the price up so much? Or that like there are players, I guess, like Kaprizov who are not necessarily sold on being in Minnesota and have to be convinced, because I saw a lot of people responding being like, that's the Minnesota tax. And my
that
thought,
was actually, yeah, that was, I texted you back. I said $3 million Minnesota tax, yeesh.
you're not the only person.
Yeah.
So like that is a prevailing sentiment here. And that makes me sad. Like Minnesota should not be a place where they have to pay guys more to play. It's the state of hockey.
It is a state of hockey, but also look at you. I could dig up some.
Yeah, but
I
that's-
couldn't dig up the text messages because they'd be more incriminating for me than they'd be for you. But
But
like,
it's
the
yeah.
not,
things
it's
we've
not
said
that
about
like
that
Minnesota
team.
sucks or like it's a bad hockey market. It's I'm so frustrated with the Minnesota Wild because they're not putting together a product that is appropriately representing Minnesota's place in the hockey world.
Okay, so I will clarify. I believe I did phrase it Minnesota Wild tax because I agree with you. Like it doesn't seem like it's a Minnesota problem.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about, oh, well, I don't know if guys want to play there, or whatever. Like, you're a hockey player. Minnesota's a fucking hockey place.
Yeah.
Like that's, even if you're not from Minnesota, you kind of grew up in Minnesota.
Right. Like it's what? One of the 2 or 3 biggest hockey cities in America?
Cold as shit, and everyone plays hockey.
Yeah.
Cool.
I do wonder sometimes for like, especially like Russians, if they get over here and they like the comfort of something like that, or if they're just like,
Do you mean
they
like,
have fucking New York City here.
Yeah, they're like, I thought I was going to the States.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, like, I think it's a case by case
That's
basis.
what I'm saying,
Like, Mikhail
like-
Sergachev fucking loves
Exactly.
Utah.
Like he loves his chickens, right? So like I always wonder with players that are coming from like a very different culture. Or not, I don't want to say very different culture, but it's not like they're coming from Sweden. Like how much the adjustment, what side of it they like, I guess.
On the contract thing, got to quickly hit Luke Hughes signing 7 times $9 million. And that one, boy, I don't like when deals are signed that immediately set up people to be like overrated, overpaid. That guy's not that good. And people are already kind of doing it with Kirill Kaprizov, which I'm like, like you can say you don't like the contract. Watch anything you say about Kirill Kaprizov. In the case of Luke Hughes is a good player. He's young. He just turned 22. He had 44 points last season, 47 points as a rookie. He's got a great future ahead of him. I don't know that $9 million is going to be super prohibitive, but I've got a thought on like the assembling Hughes thing of all this, how like it was so important that you got to get him signed up long term. You already got Jack signed up long term. Quinn is going to be a free agent after a couple of more years. And I look at this and I love the Hughes brothers, but I'm like, damn, this seems like a lot of work and a lot of money to put together a kind of fun core for 3 years.
I guess my bigger thought here is, I don't know. It's clear Luke Hughes is not a $9 million a year player right now. Maybe at some point he gets there, and I think that's the bet that the Devils are making. He does not get this contract if his last name is not Hughes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like part of all this, like at what point are you like they might trade Dougie Hamilton now, who's a good player, and I wish this show was 9 hours long. We usually make it 9 hours long anyway. Like I got thoughts on where Dougie could go, but like, so they're probably going to trade Dougie Hamilton now, and it's just a lot of work for. Like, are we sure that final product, which we don't even know is going to happen, is going to be worth it?
Well,
Quinn Hughes is unbelievable.
I was going to say, like, if it gets you Quinn Hughes, by all means, overpay Luke Hughes. But like, if we're doing contract projections or like comparisons here, if Luke Hughes is worth $9 million annually, you're going to have to give Quinn Hughes like $20 million.
Oh, that's great. Do they use that as a comp to be like, we saw how you pay your defensemen around here. My guy's got to get paid. And they're like, why do you say my guy? You probably represent all three of them.
Right.
How much do you think Luke is thanking Jim Rutherford? Making it so, like, being the one that's like, these guys will play together if given the opportunity.
Luke Hughes, like Jim Rutherford should get like 10% commission,
he should get like commission
on this Luke Hughes deal, honestly.
Luke has certainly benefited from all of this speculation and what might happen. Can I quickly give you a team for Dougie?
Yeah.
Detroit Red Wings. Like, no, like they've got the dough. They'd have a pretty good defense then. He'd slot in on their right side there, and they're in kind of good shape there, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they're going to get Axel Sandin Palika come in, and he rocks. I would hold that spot for him. But
is he left or right?
I don't know off the top of my head. I believe he's a right shot.
Okay. I mean, really just something that respectfully moves Justin Holl out of their
That's totally fair
rotation.
That's
but
totally
like
fair.
Albert Johansson, I think could be second or third pair guy. Dougie's the other guy. If Dougie is like your number 4 defenseman, that's good.
Awesome. Yeah.
Pelika is a right shot.
I mean, like the one that obviously jumps to mind is Dallas. Like any right shot defenseman that becomes available, please, Dallas, call them up.
Let's figure it out.
I mean, Sabres are always in that situation too.
They've got
honestly, like there are so
Everybody needs
right-handed defenseman is basically what I always consider left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
Where it's like the market right now is so thin that it's never been a better time to be a left-handed pitcher or a right shot defenseman. So
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I just have no idea how they could make that work unless they
Money-wise?
unless they can move Sagan. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but that's
Sagan and Dougie just Still in that little
Getting the
weird
gang back together, baby.
Yeah, man. That'd be, yeah, I mean, he'd be great there. Yeah, you were thinking hockey-wise, which my dumb brain was just thinking, like, who can fit it? But if Dallas could fit it, absolutely. Probably rather have 3 years of Dougie at $9 million than 6 or 7 years of whatever they were going to be paying Aaron Ekblad.
Yeah, definitely.
So-
Well, I mean, the injury issues concern me with Dougie, obviously, at this point, but he's a great player. I'm excited, though, for, like, I'm bummed that Dougie is clearly the odd man out in New Jersey at this point, but I am excited about the possibility of Dougie getting a fresh start.
I'm excited about the Sun. We've been spending full days in this studio of late. I got home yesterday and I was like, catch me on a walk. I popped on my sunglasses, Shady Rays, hit the sidewalk, and it was incredible. And you know what the best part of it was?
What?
If I didn't know where my sunglasses were, I didn't have to go on that walk thinking, great, now I don't have sunglasses. Because Shady Rays are backed by the best lost or broken replacement policy. If I lose my sunglasses, if someone attacked me on that walk, smashed me right in the sunglasses, I'd be okay. Shady Rays would send me a brand new pair. No
Does that happen to you a lot?
Yes. Someone, they get me in the glasses.
My glasses.
Yeah. Right there. And it hurts extra because I got a big nose. So then if the glasses break, which they don't, but because they're strong, but if they did, they could cut up my nose something fierce.
You look like a hockey player.
Then I'd look like a hockey player. Shady Rays, we've told you about them forever. You know that these things are good. They're affordable. They're not a crazy price, but they are kind of the sunglasses that get people saying, what are those? What are those sunglasses?
Yeah, not in the mean way.
Not what are those? They say like, oh, what are those?
What are those?
Yeah. Shady Rays changed the game. They're made for life. Seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not crazy expensive. And like I said, if anything happens, you're on a hike, you step on them, a bear kills you, like whatever, they're going to get replaced. You are good. So we've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. I was laughing because I know that Pete is probably going to work What If You Die into this next read.
I wasn't planning on it.
We got to make that a thing.
Go ahead. I don't know how you get there, but I'm intrigued now.
Sorry, I'm the only one here who can rip. Jesus Christ.
As established earlier in the show, fall is here, and that means it's football season. That means that there's yard work to be done if you got leaves all over your yard, and like maybe if you're Brad Marchand, you got hunting trips that you're trying to knock out. Just hunting in the great state of Florida. Let's be honest, staying fresh can be a challenge. That's why you need to hear about our friends at Mando Deodorant, because they got you covered from your pits to everywhere else. We're talking high performance odor control and sweat control that actually lasts all day. Nothing worse than a crappy deodorant that you realize way too late does not have you covered throughout the day. That's extremely embarrassing. Don't be stuck in a stinky situation. You're going to get one stick that does 2 jobs. You're getting coverage throughout double overtime games, weekend projects, even those extra long pre-holiday shifts. Clinical strength sweat control. One swipe, you're good to go. It's deodorant that's re-engineered to stop odor before it starts, and you can put that baby all over your body. We talk about it often. Mando focuses on being able to put that stick or some of their other products, whether it's the wipes, whether it's the sprays, full body coverage. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes. And you're also going to get free shipping. Plus, as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code WhatChaos at shopmando.com. Again, use code WhatChaos at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness.
The Florida Panthers always have something going on, whether they are winning cups, getting injured, not paying their players, or paying their players less because you get to cheat, and Brad Marchand confirmed that.
Steroids.
No, taking steroids. They're America's team. Everything that we love to do. They're now in a very interesting situation for this year because we've discussed that maybe at some point during this run, there's going to be a year where they've got to reset, a fallow year, we call it. And maybe they don't make as deep a run that year, but it gives them a little rest, and then they can go make a huge run. We already knew that Matthew Tkachuk was going to be out until at least December. Last week, Sasha Barkov shredded his knee. He's out 7 to 9 months. People wonder, is he going to miss the full season? This year, because they're starting to do the LTIR stuff a little differently with the new CBA, they're going to implement it early. They can't use his money in the regular season and then bring him back in the playoffs and go over the cap. Like, you can't do that. If they're going to use his $10 million, he has got to be out for the entire playoffs. So I'll kick it off. Is this a fallow year for the Panthers, or could this be a fill-up year where they spend that money and hope they can overcome not having their captain?
They've got options. They've got options to fill up if they want to. I do not believe that they are going to actively subscribe to like the we're taking a year off kind of thing. Even with Barkov out, even with Tkachuk out for an extended period of time, like there's just no way that Florida is taking their foot off the gas willingly, especially after bringing all those guys back in free agency. And I feel like the Panthers are, like that Trump meme tweet that it's like, looks like Donald Trump has really stepped in it this time, like can't get out of this situation. And it's like 5 minutes later, alas.
Yeah.
Like that is the Florida Panthers. Barkov gets hurt. Yeah, like their outlook is obviously more bleak. You cannot replace a guy like Sasha Barkov. It's going to hurt them. It definitely is, but you will not catch me dead saying that this team is dead.
Exactly. I think that they'll somehow be back. And even without Barkov, their roster is still awesome. Without Tkachuk, obviously it gets a little tougher, but you have to remember this is also their first year with Seth Jones for the full year. Like they're going to be, it's their first season with Brad Marchand for the full year. They're not so much worse to begin the season this year than they were to begin the season last year. So they're still in a lot better shape than a lot of teams would want. And as I said, they've got a $10 million check to write if they want to. Frank Saravalli on his Bleacher Report Insider thing that I watch is great. Everybody make sure you watch it. Very good. He just kind of said this and moved past it. And I wanted to jump into the screen and slap him and say, what are you talking about? How? He said there could be maybe a situation if everything lines up right where they could, if they want to go out and try to get an Evgeny Malkin, where with retained salary, they could make it work where during the season they use the money on Malkin and blah, 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 and then still find a way to be able to bring Barkov back if he's healthy in the playoffs. If that happens, holy shit, just give them another cup.
Kick these guys out of the league.
I don't get the math there, but Frank wouldn't have said it if the math didn't make sense. I've got one for them, though, and it scares the bejesus out of me. And every time I try to tell myself it doesn't make sense, it makes more sense. Sidney Crosby.
Oh, God damn it.
Sidney Crosby, $8.7 million. It's for this year and next. And I know they're going to have to figure out, like, well, you're going to get the $10 million from Barkov back on the books the next year. Smart ass DJ. Where are you going to get $10 million? Oh, I don't know. Do they have $10 million maybe coming off the books at the end of the season?
They sure do.
Exactly $10 million in net? Mm-hmm. They could trade for Sidney Crosby. I don't know what the fuck they would give up, but they could trade for Sidney Crosby, use the Barkov money on him this year, and then next year, they've got the cap space to fit both of them. Kill me. And does Sidney Crosby have a relationship with anybody important on the Florida Panthers?
Brad Marchand. Everybody talks about him playing with McKinnon. I mean, they're obviously best friends, but like second best friend, Brad Marchand.
His second best friend in the world, as Pete Blackburn has just reported. I don't think it's likely. but fuck. We nailed the Seth Jones thing, empty netter's voice. We nailed the Seth Jones thing. We said it was going to happen. And like, what, are the Panthers not going to surprise us this year?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a long shot, but because it's the Panthers, I'm not willing to I've had to sit here and eat a little bit of shit by saying that like a Seth Jones trade would never fucking happen because nobody wants Seth Jones. That turns out to be very false. The Panthers get him. Like, I'd say it's a non-zero chance. It's on the lower end, but fuck, keep it in mind.
The Everblade says that the Panthers need a court-ordered fallow year. I mean, I would rather a court-ordered fallow year than a forced fallow year of like people having their health heavily affected. But look, man, I'm never taking my eye off the Panthers. And as Pete said, I'm stupid enough to do a lot of things, but I'm not stupid enough to count the Panthers.
I mean, Cody Bedford also makes a point. Like, I don't think this would ever happen, but
Marchand's first best friend.
Marchand's first best friend, and like the guy that everybody compares Barkov to, Patrice Bergeron, he comes out of retirement to replace Barkov this season in Florida. That would kill me, but it would be incredible theater.
Here's why that might not work. There's a few reasons, but again, we're talking about the Panthers and we're talking about getting guys who are lifers. First of all, like, Bergeron's no longer a lifer. The other thing is Bergeron going to want to come out of retirement? The guy who was the rich man's Sasha Barkov, and at this point, he's 900 years old. He's probably going to be worse than Barkov was. Mm-hmm. And people are going to look at Bergeron as like, oh yeah, they got Patrice Bergeron who is able to do some of the stuff Barkov does. That's weird for the reputation.
I don't know, like
Bergeron
Mario Lemieux did it with Crosby when Crosby was on the Penguins.
Yeah, and Crosby's going to be on this team too. People forget.
That's true.
So,
yeah,
this all works. Mario comes out.
Yeah, that's right. No, side point that I wanted to make too with this situation is there was a lot of talk and a lot of analyzing the Sam Bennett contract. Has any contract that has been like kind of people being like, this contract sucks, aged so well? Like the Sam Bennett contract.
Before it started.
$8 million seems like fucking nothing now. And where would this team be without Sam Bennett on the depth chart?
We should do a study on contracts that aged well before they began.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it aged well when he signed. Were people not talking about him getting $10 million?
Yeah, I think that the $10 million thing was what people were complaining about, like thinking that he could get that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
his contract
that was people's
still is
expectation.
probably like an overpay if you base players on their numbers. Like when we talk about like this guy's scored X amount of goals, like they're all regular season numbers we're talking about. So like on paper, you still look at that and you're like, he must be funny or something.
Well, and he's 29 years old, got an 8-year deal. Like, what's Sam Bennett going to look like in his mid-30s? Well, that part of it is completely removed when you're talking about the Panthers because they clearly do not give a shit what their team looks like in like 5 to 6 years.
I feel like
and they shouldn't.
Zito is going to show up 5 years from now and be like, I'm not doing this shit.
I mean, he should absolutely take a different job.
I'm leaving.
It's like the John Harbaugh Michigan thing where it's like you get your program suspended.
Yeah, fuck them up.
Get kicked out of college football.
Not taking that ring away.
National championship and just go to the NFL. Like that's what Bill Zito should do.
Okay, we got a lot more stuff coming up on the show today. We're going to talk about Trevor Zegras. Gave some fun quotes to our fun guy Greg Wyshynski. But Friday, did you know? And I probably say this in the intro of this, so apologize if I'm repeating myself. Friday. Face Off Inside the NHL comes back. That's on Prime. If you didn't see it last year, it's amazing. It's a docuseries. It follows players behind the scenes. Pete's all over it. He's like one of the voices, the talking heads on it. And they document so many cool guys this year. Really, a lot of it is like, if you like What Chaos, you're going to like the people that are on this. Zach Hyman's featured. Zach Werenski is featured. Quentin Byfield. Of course, Seth Jarvis. Like, really getting into the personalities and the lives of a lot of guys that we like so much on this show. Daniel Amigone is the showrunner, and he's big-time part of the What Chaos world. He's been so good to this show. He's been awesome with putting Pete on it, and he's really, like, he says nice things about us, and when people say nice things about us, I'm like, I'm glad that people are nice. When he says nice things about us, I'm like, fuck, we might be good.
Yeah, I mean, like I trust his opinion. I trust his vision. He is a very creative person, and the fact that he liked this show in its early stages, like pretty early on, and said that like it has a real influence on the Face-Off series makes me feel good.
Yes, and I've seen a couple episodes. This one, so good.
Thanks,
He's
buddy.
like, and the problem is, and this is why that guy will never win the Stanley Cup. And he's saying a lot of like negative things about these guys, which I imagine
You should see what they had to cut out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor.
Pete was using
Being
hate speech
real
on it.
nasty to these guys.
Here's our conversation with Buffalo Sabres fan Daniel Amigone. Face Off Inside the NHL Season 2 back on Amazon Prime Friday. Let's talk to our dear friend and Buffalo legend, showrunner Daniel Amigone. Hello, Daniel.
What's up, fellas? How we doing? Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Great. Red Sox winning games. I was double screening baseball and Face Off last night, and I just ended up watching Face Off instead.
I love it. I love it. Garrett Crochet, what a stud. That was
Total
awesome.
horse.
Yeah.
Tell us, season 2 from season 1, like what's different this year? What was your experience like going from, all right, like we kind of know how to do this and we've done it with success, to now let's knock it out of the park?
That's the struggle with season 2 is often like you've had some success in season 1. Okay, how do we change the paradigm a little bit? How do we, push a little bit further? And I felt like season 1, it was a lot of, okay, you get to meet a character, meet a team, they get in the playoffs and they lose in the playoffs. We kind of fell into that mold with most of the stories. So I really wanted to do some non-playoff stories, some more character-based stuff. We got to start a little bit earlier in the season so we could go a little deeper. And we had the gift of the Four Nations tournament as well. That really kind of changed the landscape of hockey, the attention on hockey. And yeah, when I sit down and think about, okay, what are the stories I want to tell going into a season? I think of the list of players, the teams that could be interesting. Who am I interested in as a filmmaker? And Seth Jarvis came to mind, Quentin Byfield, Brady Tkachuk, and those were guys who, first conversation, they're like, I'm in. They have the personality, they have the story, and then who are the ones that are a little bit deeper, a little bit harder? And to me, those stories were number one, Sidney Crosby. I just knew how difficult it's been to get him to commit to things like this in the past, and then even more so, the Columbus story for me was that rare, even non-sports story that breaks through to an extent where it really kind of touches people and affects people, and so. In early conversations with the NHLPA and the NHL and even Prime Video, they're like, yeah, great story in Columbus. We would love to do it. It just feels too fresh, too raw. But I really wanted to fight for it and thought it was worth fighting for. And to Columbus's credit, in that first conversation with Todd Chirac, their PR guy. They were open to it. Todd was always going to protect his players, protect the families, and make sure it was being told in a respectful and right way. But for them to open their doors so soon after this tragedy, literally being in their homes and seeing what grieving looked like to them, this team that was forced to grieve in such a public way, to me, I thought there was so much to that story that would resonate with people. So that's kind of where I wanted to take this season, so that, yes, hockey fans are going to find this show and hopefully love it and hopefully get something more out of it than they saw in the season. But for non-hockey fans, that Columbus story to me was kind of number one for sure.
Do you feel like season 1 helped you at all in terms of pitching season 2 in the involvement? Like, was it easier knowing that there was proof of concept and that people liked it?
Yeah, I think yes and no. I wanted it to be easier than it ended up being, because in a season 1 you kind of take the cream off the top of like, okay, who are the no brainers that we have to go to, and the Connors and the Nylanders and the Swayman, like just these kind of big personalities who are going to deliver in that way. And then the moment that broke through the most from season one was Connor, imploring his teammates to get their shit together, and to a man, every player I spoke with for season two, the first thing they wanted to talk about was Connor and that moment, and their takeaway from it was, wow, he looked awesome. Like, he looked like such a leader. You don't get to see that. No one's ever seen that. And then in the same breath, it's like, I'm not sure I want that for me.
It's everyone's worst fear to, they're like, hey, like, you want to do like this big scary thing, and you're like, no. But then when you see it done, you're like, that's the baddest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Look, but like, I'm sure any player would be horrified to have there be a video of them yelling at their teammates out there. But as you said, like, they have to be jealous of that also.
Yeah, and it's the memification of it. It's it's that it gets clipped, and I'm literally at my my son's 9-year-old squirt game, and I'm hearing parents say, like, dig the F in, like, and like, look, like, that's from the show. So it's a catchphrase that has taken hold in the hockey world. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but I like to think that in the season two, players see, oh wow, people actually watch this. These guys weren't just they knew what they were doing. They put it together in a way that's satisfying. So in that way, it definitely helped for some players, for sure.
Does anyone yell as much as the Oilers? Because you did that. You got that again. Corey Perry had. Pete and I were talking before the show, and he was saying, like, arguably Corey Perry's is better because it worked and they won.
Yeah, every locker room is very different. And yeah, they're not afraid to, certain guys. I wonder if Corey Perry wasn't in that room, how much yelling would go on. You see Mitch Marner yelling in another episode. Like, Florida is not a very yelly, screamy locker room. Columbus, certainly not. They're very, that's another thing with Columbus. The first time we went there, I was, having been in a lot of these locker rooms, just blown away by the fact that in between periods, the guy from the fourth liner to Zach Werenski are like in the middle of the room talking strategy, saying, hey, if I'm here, you go here. It's like, no one is just sitting in their stall stewing like so many other locker rooms are. So, I would say, Edmonton rates on the high level of the yelly, screamy locker rooms, but every locker room is just so different. And it's wild to see that too.
From a storytelling perspective, was it a little disappointing that Florida won again last year? I mean, like, Matthew Tkachuk is obviously a content goldmine, and anytime good things happen to him and he's at the center of it, it's probably good for you. But like, you covered that last year, the Panthers beating the Oilers. Were you hoping for anything different this year?
I was, yeah. I mean, to be frank, hoping for a new story to tell, hoping that, the Oilers could get over the top. What a great 2-year story to tell, them losing. I'm sorry, DJ.
No, I hadn't considered that. I also wanted that. Now that you say it.
Sorry, yeah. But and so last year we had, a 2-episode arc of that, the final series. This year it's only 1 episode, because we had more kind of story to tell during the regular season. So I think there was enough with the addition of Brad Marchand, with Matthew's injury, with Zach Hyman's injury, that there were new kind of stories, and we could also reference our story from season 1 of Zach getting in front of the room and saying, I know we'll be back. So that's a big theme in the episode as well. So yeah, you always want to cover new ground, but the idea of a rematch is pretty juicy too. So as the it was trending in that direction, and as that series started, I was excited for it. And then as those first 2 games are 2 of the best hockey games any of us have ever seen in our lives. We're like, okay, we might need 10 episodes for this series, because this is going to be, epic. But as it went on and it became clear that Florida was the better team, it was clear we weren't going to tell like a enormously new story, but the idea of introducing, hey, is this a dynasty, and giving people another layer to it, seeing like what those conversations are between Matthew and Marchand, in the locker room, and so it was again kind of some good, some bad with the rematch.
Okay, we've already kind of brought it up, but the Gaudreau episode and the Blue Jackets episode, that team deserved a documentary or maybe even like a Disney movie made about that season anyway. So I recommend everybody go watch that. It's like 40-ish minutes and it's incredible. Like it basically documented the stadium series and like how big a moment that was between the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings. And as I was watching that, it's like, this is the perfect amount of everything because obviously like Meredith Gaudreau, the strongest person in the world, is grieving and talking to you guys and kind of discussing what all these guys meant to Johnny. We're seeing this like Hart from Sean Monahan, who famously is just like a very nice, but like not the most outgoing guy, just like does his thing. We're finding out what a fucking stud Zach Werenski is. Like if you want it just for the like, how did this team get through it? You got it. And if you want it from the, how did this team almost make the playoffs? You got it. Like that episode was seriously like, if I say masterpiece, it sounds like I'm blowing smoke, but I was very moved.
Well, that means a lot. And yeah, I think that was my messaging the entire season to our entire team was, the bar is so high with this one, and we have to meet the moment, and we have to honor these people who are letting us tell this story. I think to me, like I said, this is a relatable story that unfortunately we can all, relate to that moment where you lose a loved one or a good friend or family member, is going through that. And you send the text message and you say, I'm here for you if you need anything and things like that. And as a society, we don't want to see, we don't behind those closed doors for some reason and have those tough conversations. And so, and I've always been fascinated with when someone this public passes away, what is it like to grieve in public like that? How hard is it to actually process when you're having to get in front of thousands of people and cry so many times and honor your loved one. And so again, that first trip there, they let us behind closed doors, and it wasn't guys sitting in a dark room crying. It was, but they weren't ignoring it too. They were telling stories about their friend. They were going to Meredith's house to take care of the kids. They were, making sure she was included in everything and wrapping their arms around her as a community and as a team. So, I was blown away by what I saw there. And again, I think it was just so important to me to get this one right and to have that balance, as well as you say, not make it just a, kind of a melodramatic, sob fest, but they did, as we were filming, they turned into one of the best hockey stories in the league too. So it was like, there's so much more to this than the tragic passing of their best player. And so, I'm hoping that we honored the story well, and I think they provided such a beautiful example of what it's like to properly grieve a loved one.
You did, and I'll just quickly say, like, a lot of things like that, like, I'm sure that you knew how you could do it wrong and what it would look like if you did it wrong. And like the NFL draft, for example, has been like reprimanded so many times for like searching for like trauma porn.
Yeah.
And like you so clearly were not searching for that. And even if you found it, you didn't show it. I cried 80 seconds into it. And then I like kind of smiled the rest of the way because you're rooting for them and you're just like seeing how these people are getting through it. Very, very tastefully done. Now, Pete, make fun of him or something. So.
No, I was going to add, like, I think the thing that continuously impresses me is the access that you guys get both in and outside of the game. So I'm curious from your standpoint, because obviously you film over months and months and months. Was there a particular like experience or place that you went that was particularly cool?
Other than the Cobra Bar in Columbus that
That's right. Smoking
Might have been there.
many cigarettes.
Yeah, folks, we all hang out. That's kind of what this is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Four Nations. I had never been to Centre Bell before that tournament, and
Pandering.
Wow.
No, that was good. Pete didn't know what you were talking about. I knew exactly what that was.
Who is Sandra Bell?
But just being in that environment, and then it was, again, going into that tournament, it was like, is this thing a joke? Like, the memes were going around, like, Four Nations are facing off, was everyone wanted to just say that over and over and over again. So when we got there, we were like, okay, it's a bit of a goofy tournament. The access wasn't really promised there to an extent that we thought it would be, and but the two stories that we knew we had were Seth Jarvis and the Tkachuk brothers. And then for the Tkachuk brothers to say, hey, like, let's throw the league on our shoulder and do some of the craziest shit we've seen in years in the NHL. So the coolest moment, like, being honestly the first game when Mario Lemieux's out there with Sidney Crosby getting introduced, and the place is literally vibrating, and and then the Canada scores that first power play goal, tic-tac-toe, and McKinnon puts it away, and I thought I was watching from that press box, and DJ, I'm sure that press, you're literally
yes,
yeah, leaning straight over the ice, and I had a bird's eye view of that goal, and I was just like, wow. 9-year-old me would be pretty pumped about how this is all going right now. So, and then, for the first USA Canada game, again, the energy in that building. And then, like I said, we, for whatever reason, other access not coming through, we had the Tkachuks, and we had Keith Tkachuk during that first game, mic'd up, camera on him for the entire game. And when he turns around to his wife, or, standing next to his wife before the fight started, and he just goes, watch this. And it's like, we were all like, what just happened? Like, he knew about
fisting off.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'd say that was the coolest environment, coolest place. Just, again, it's a story that people have seen. It was covered, to such an extent, but we knew we had this extra layer that we were going to add to it that I think people will really, really enjoy seeing. So those are the moments where you got to get a little lucky, but yeah, that was probably the coolest environment, coolest kind of behind the scenes access that we had.
Do you have wheels spinning for stuff on season 3, or are you like taking a break and pushing yourself aside, or is like even like the Landeskog stuff? Is that something that you would see as an opportunity to like continue in season 3 and make something out of that?
No, for sure. I think the one big thing that is still out there, well, there are a number of stories that I would love to get into for season 3. I think the whole Trevor Zegras changing kind of coasts, changing teams, and and that whole group of guys that are super tight and spend the summer together in Michigan, Caulfield, Hughes, Zegras. I think that would make one hell of an episode. Just those guys who are extremely close and have had, varied success in their career, but are also, they play a certain, I'm trying to avoid the term Instagram hockey, but they play a certain brand of hockey that I think would be interesting to explore, how that characterization affects them. And also I think Cole Caulfield is, just so magnetic, has such a great personality. And then, curious to see what happens in New Jersey this year with Jack Hughes, obviously. So that's one that I'm super into. Leon is still someone who I'm, fascinated by. There's so much left on that bone. And yeah, there are a ton of stories that I'm hoping that we can get a chance to cover in a season 3. So fingers crossed. We need everyone, all the whatnots, to watch the show 100 times in week 1, and we'll get that season 3 going.
Okay, before we quickly ask you about the Buffalo Sabres, which is going to be a lot of fun for everybody, outside of the Blue Jackets episode, which I think kind of lives in its own world, which episode are you most proud of?
Man, the one that pops to mind is the Crosby Kopitar episode. Just because I know how much went into getting Crosby on board and making the case to him that this was a story worth telling at this moment in time. I think it's the bar is so low for what people know about him that I knew that if he just let us in to a certain extent, people would really appreciate seeing that side of him. And honestly, a guy who has accomplished everything in his career, again, we all go through tough times, low points, losses, but what's it like for the guy who's accomplished everything to go through that at the, in the last chapter of his career? How's he dealing with that on a daily basis? How is he still scoring a point a game? So that's, yeah. And then the Kopitar and Byfield, story of it all too, I think is, to me, that's the episode that I think, with all the trade talks, that's a big part of the episode. We spent trade deadline day with Pat Brisson in his office, as the calls are coming in, as the deals are getting done and not done. So I would say that one is just knowing how much went into it and really how I think we uncovered a side of Sidney Crosby that people haven't really seen before. So that would be one that sticks out. But you're asking me to choose between my children, which I do have a favorite child.
All right, and
Who's
it's
your
Michael
favorite
Kesselring.
Yeah, no.
It's Zach Benson.
Last question from me. What does Seth Jarvis's apartment smell like?
Exactly what you think it would. Chicken, mostly, it smells like a 23-year-old's apartment. My favorite was like he literally has Legos on the dining room table. It's like, wow, dude, this is
Of course
you.
it is.
He's
You're
the
everything.
absolute greatest.
Honestly, like, yeah, that story, in watching him on your show and following him, the last few years, I knew that he would be funny. I knew that, you ask him a question, he just doesn't answer in a typical way a hockey player answers, which is great. That's all you want. But then we sit down with him at Four Nations and he's like, I ask him a question about his brother and he starts welling up. There's emotion there. There's another layer of this self-confidence stuff and this, this self-doubt. He's about to get on the ice with, play with Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon. He's got to give himself a pep talk to get on that ice. Say like, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. It's like, wow, that, he blew me away by, again, I knew there would be an entertainment level, you just know that's a given, but the layer underneath that of something that I think people will latch onto and relate to was really blew me away.
Yeah, I mean, he's so simultaneously relatable and unrelatable because everyone can relate to like imposter syndrome or thinking like, hey, maybe I'm not good enough, but I can't relate to thinking that while everyone is telling me and there is financial and all these like various proof that,
Right.
Oh, like not only are you good enough, man, you're fucking like the best. So what's that mind fuck like when you feel that way and all anyone is telling you and all anyone is showing you is that like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah, no, he's so easy to root for. And yeah, I hope this like glimpse into what he's really like behind the scenes is, is useful for his career. And yeah, I think they're going to be damn good this year. So maybe we'll be back in Carolina.
We're definitely clipping that. I think they're gonna be damn good this year for Sabres preview with Daniel Amigone.
Hey, honestly, like I've been so pessimistic the last few years, and now like we traded away one of our best goal scorers. You can't really say we've made meaningful. I mean, Kesselring, whatever.
Whoa, hey.
We don't talk like that around here.
But I honestly think this year we're going to make the playoffs. I've been through this drought with the Bills. Now we're, deep in this drought with the Sabres. Every year there's a team that's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Why can't we be that team? We can be that team. Like the Bruins are down. I'm sorry, Pete. The Panthers have had some injuries. Like our division is, I'm not saying we're going to win the division, but I think there are enough points for us out there. If Josh Norris can stay healthy as he loves to do, I think we'll be all right. And yeah, the D-core is incredibly strong. And Alex Gorgiev is waiting in the wings. So we're
NHL All-Star.
exactly.
Man, they had a very good top six. They obviously have a very strong defense, and as Pete said, one of their goalies is an all-star. So
That's right.
I agree with you. Like, some weird shit's going to happen in the East this year. I'm just not going to say what it is. So if someone wants to say it's that the Sabres make the playoffs, I'm like, sure, that's an option.
Yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm into it. And then obviously, if they make the playoffs, that's a season 3 storyline, 100%.
Then so season 3 is you following Sean. It's just Sean living life with the Buffalo Sabres being good.
I didn't say we're going to be good. We'll get shit pumped in the first round of the playoffs. That's the ceiling.
That's somehow a step in the right direction.
It absolutely. Hey, you know what that is? That's experience, brother.
That's right.
Then the next season we say, okay, like, they've learned.
They've been molded.
Yeah, they've got there and they've learned. Hey, once you're in the playoffs, it's not so easy. Did they have to learn that? Did they not already know that? Listen, man, this is a tough league, and you just keep throwing cliches on it and cliches on it. Next thing you know, Michael Kesselring's passing the thing off to Rasmus Dahlin.
Wow, so Kesselring gets the C.
They give him the C,
yeah, they give he's captain by then, yeah.
All right, I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, Daniel, you're the greatest. Your show is so good. Thank you for putting Pete all over it. Thank you for putting shit from our world all over it. I know there's an embargo, but there's a funny clip of a person in the What Chaos world maybe ranting about a certain player playing in a certain place. It's very funny. It's very good. You're the greatest.
I appreciate it, guys. And enough smoke
Katie
came.
Talking about Brad Marchand, by the way.
Spoiler alert. No, enough smoke came my way on this interview. So, just want to tell you guys, keep doing what you're doing. These summer episodes have been phenomenal. And you're in Face Off so much because I think you guys are, two of the best voices in hockey right now. And it's a two-way street here of appreciation. So, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. And October 3rd, stream all the episodes.
That's right. Watch them multiple times. Fall asleep with them on and let them play on repeat over and over and over again. We need season 3.
Exactly. Amen. All right. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Friday, watch it. Daniel Amigone, the greatest. What an absolute lovely guy. Is our shot different or something? Like, are we
looking through rose-colored glasses?
Jaundiced? Maybe a little jaundiced? Sean, are we jaundiced?
You need a medical professional to decide that.
This guy, unbelievable. Okay, welcome back to the show. We call it What Chaos. It's beside beat back. Trevor Zegras is out of Orange County, we'll call it, but he's still orange. He's on the Flyers now, and a little peek behind our curtain. We've been trying to get him on the show, and we think it's going to happen at some point, but we weren't the only people who thought once he got out of Anaheim, let's see if we can find some stuff out about this guy. We're always talking about him. There's a mystery to him. What's going on inside here? Enter Greg Wyshynski of ESPN, who caught up with him last week. Caught up with is reporting speak for just spoke to. Like, he chased him. He was running away.
It's a bad sign for Trevor Zegras' his physical testing if Greg Wyshynski
is catching
could catch up to him.
Yeah.
Oof.
He's all hands. Maybe not the greatest skater anymore. Who knows? Some interesting quotes, though, about really the perception of him. And we've talked to Alex Vlasic, Frank Vetrano, about maybe perception versus reality with him. He's definitely at a point in his career where I think that he wants to be known less as the guy that does shit.
Yeah, definitely. And
which was our guess, and why we want to talk to him.
We don't really have recurring questions that we ask every guest that we have on the show. But if there was a category for that, I think it's what's Trevor Zegras' deal? We ask so many people what's this guy's deal? Is he misunderstood? And the answer is always yes. People hammer home the fact that Trevor Zegras is a little misunderstood as a player. And I love some of the quotes that came out of this piece with Greg Wyshynski. Number one being, Trevor Zegras said, I want them to go from saying, quote, he's good at hockey to, quote, he's a hockey player. I think there are a lot of guys that are good at hockey. After the season, I'd rather be known as someone who is a hockey player. And if you know Trevor Zegras and you know like the things that are said about him, you know exactly what he means. And I think that if you are somebody who wants to see Trevor Zegras change that narrative and kind of turn the page and use this as a fresh start, that is exactly what you want to hear.
Okay, well then Vince Carter voice, he's not Michiganing anymore.
What is that?
Vince Carter?
Also went over my head.
He said, I'm not dunking anymore.
Ah, yes.
Sports show. He said he's not dunking anymore because he was like, the coolness has been taken out of it or whatever. Like, I'm not going to dunk anymore. This is catering to people who aren't very smart and people who don't understand nuance. But I think that if he wants people to talk more about him as a hockey player, he has to give them less ammunition, even though it's their fault that they're crusty and that they're old and that they're like, in my day, I would have socked him for doing that. No, you wouldn't have, because in your day, no one could skate and you were slow and you weren't that good at hockey and Trevor Zegras could just get away from you anymore. But I do think that him saying that, I bet he's thinking, I'll do a little less fancy stuff unless it's going to help my team.
Yeah, maybe. But like, I think that like with the Vince Carter case and the Trevor Zegras case, the ask isn't that he removes that stuff from his game. Maybe some people are asking that. Maybe Steve Alliquette just stop doing all that fancy boy shit. Like me personally, I don't want to see Trevor Zegras get rid of that shit. He's one of the few people on the planet that is capable of pulling it off and making it look effortless and very, very cool. Where the criticism comes in is whether it's the lack of willingness or the lack of ability to fill in the gaps around that stuff and become a well-rounded hockey player. And what's said in the ESPN article from Wish is that there is a deep commitment to fulfilling that defensive side of things that he is constantly criticized for, which is really great. And I want to see him become a tougher player, a more well-rounded player, a grittier player, and just more of the boxes checked to be classified, as he's saying, a hockey player versus somebody who's good at hockey.
I don't know if he needs to become I don't know if I want to plant the idea for him to become a grittier player. Do you know that he has more penalty minutes than he has points in his career? And that's not because he's a particularly gritty player. I think it might be because he like tries to be a gritty player.
Or it's just like a lack of defensive ability,
just all
defensive
stick
responsibility. Yeah. And I also think that that's probably a product of Trevor Zegras probably doesn't have as many points as you would imagine he does to this point in the NHL.
Yeah, it could be that as well. Northeast boy, back now in the Northeast, and he was asked about seasonal depression, and I need to know exactly what this back and forth was with him and Wish, because Wish seems like the type who would goof around about seasonal depression with us or whatever.
This one I don't think was with Wish. I think this was at a media session because he deadpanned. I think he was just asked about like kind of what went wrong in Anaheim.
Oh, okay. So he says, and again, Northeast boy playing in the in Orange County, seasonal depression. Let's go with that. I need winters. Every day felt the exact same for 5 years. It was weird. Seasonal depression. It's a real thing. I swear to God. This is very interesting to me because seasonal depression is when the winter makes you depressed. But if people who listened to our last podcast know about this, some of us suffer from reverse seasonal depression, which is I used to get depressed in the summers because in winter, everyone would get seasonal depression and get sad. And I was like, cool, we're all on the same page. And then they would stop being depressed when summer rolled around. And then I felt even worse. I've never heard someone, though, straight up say, like, I need me some winters or I'll be depressed.
Oh, I can very strongly relate to that.
Yeah?
Yeah. In Arizona, I fucking hated. Like, it made being away for Christmas so much harder because it was also warm. Like,
Yeah,
it
but
sucked.
would you call
And
that
I would
seasonal
want winter,
depression?
too.
I probably wouldn't have thought to call it seasonal
Yeah.
depression, but it was a sort of depression as a result of the seasons, I suppose.
I don't know if it's like a fundamental misunderstanding of what seasonal depression is, or if it's just the fact that I had not considered that seasonal depression could work in the opposite direction of what everybody assumes it to be.
Yeah, no, I had never heard it used like that, but I like that usage of it. I mean, outside of the fact that he's talking about being depressed, I guess that's not fun. But
I think that would be like the last thing that I would ever expect to hear out of Trevor Zegras' mouth.
That's why that quote stuck out to me so much,
Because he seemed
seems
like he
would
really
love the beach
enjoyed
life.
being the California
yeah,
kid.
I
Like
agree 100%.
he's on the cover of the EA Sports video game, on the beach in his shorts.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like he really embraced that. So like hearing that he honestly like struggled with it, didn't really love it. It's surprising to me, and like I'm happy that he's now in Philly.
And it tells you that we need to hear from this guy more.
Yeah.
Like, how did we not know that? Okay, seasonal affective disorder, for those following along at home, is a mood disorder subset in which people who typically have normal mental health, what's that, Wikipedia, throughout most of the year exhibit depressive symptoms at the same time each year. It is commonly, but not always, associated with the reductions or increases in total sunlight hours that occur during the winter or summer. So yes, it's associated with there's not as much sun in the winter, but it could just be, I don't know, there's such thing as male postpartum depression. Haters.
All I gotta say is like he hasn't played a game for the Philadelphia Flyers yet, but this trade, the things that I've heard about him, the things that I've seen him say, I'm becoming a Trevor Zegras guy. Like, it's crazy to me.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah, like I'm very, very much rooting for him. I hope that this really works out in Anaheim. I hope he gets his bag long term, feels a little bit more secure, and gets back on the track to being the star that everybody kind of projected him to be at the beginning of his career.
Very, very good. Let's speed run a lot of other things to kind of wrap up the show. So we've discussed the contracts of Kirill Kaprizov and Luke Hughes, but some other potential contract and or movement situation that may be happening. Carter Hart likely to sign a 2-year deal with the Knights per Frank Saravalli and not for the league minimum. Now that we're allowed to talk about Carter Hart again, I honestly don't even really care that much or have anything to say other
You just
than
wanted to do it when it was frowned upon.
No, not that I'd wanted to do it, but like I just thought like people were afraid that if they like he was gonna sign with somebody, but people were like, and I'm not just saying you, I'm saying like every podcast I listen to is like now obviously one of these teams is gonna sign Carter Hart, but guys, I don't think we should. I'm not going to speculate anything there. And like maybe a team would be offended if they were associated with him or whatever.
I just didn't want to talk about it until they were reinstated. They've been reinstated. It is a
and now I don't really want to talk. Yeah. Now it's boring.
I mean, it is like boring in the sense that like I really don't see Carter Hart signing with a team, at least from what I remember about Carter Hart and how good he is as a goaltender. That's not really going to register for me on like an excitement scale if he signs with the Golden Knights.
I mean, does it make Aiden Hill mad? Because we learned last postseason, everything makes Aiden Hill mad. That guy was so pissed all the time.
Very cranky.
I love it. People forget Aiden Hill was on the show. We tattooed him. If you're new to the show, you guys really got to go, guys and gals, everybody, quite frankly.
There's a deep archive.
There's a confusingly deep archive. Connor Bedard, everyone you might want, multiple Brad Marchand, even Quentin Byfield. Super chat from
Entertainer.
I thought that said Evander Kane. I also suffer from reversional seasonal depression. Summers make me miserable. Hey, I'm with you, fam. Clubbers Till We Die says, sorry I'm late, boys. I had to work. Go Ingram/oil. Yes, we got some Ingram questions in the chat, which does not surprise me. We've already discussed it off the top of the show, and given that we toss this on audio and make it a full kind of complete thing, we won't get back into it. But just the 1 second thing is he seems like another option, but not the, okay, now he's taken so-and-so's job. Assume he's going to start off in the minors, and if they need him, then they need him. It looks like the Hawks are going to trade Reichel.
The Hawks?
Blackhawks. Or Lucas Reichel. There we go.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think he's on the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Lucas Reichel?
Lucas Reichel.
Yeah.
I don't know why I botched his name so bad.
That's
sad,
fine.
I think.
Yeah, it's a little sad.
I don't like when high
It's a little overdue,
high
though.
draft picks like.
But it's sad, but it's also not sad because like it's not working out there. So give the boy a fresh start.
I know I just butchered his name, but I think it's a stupid thing to say because this happens all the time. Like he's one of those players that's too talented to not be a good NHL player. But also I kind of wonder, like, could he just be an okay NHL player? Is this just a boomer bust situation? Frank Saravalli said on that show I reference all the time, Hawks are working on a deal to have him land somewhere likely before next week when rosters are completed. This is not going to be a big return. We're talking probably a mid to late round pick. So, Bruins?
I mean, like
German?
any team that is just like, why not take a chance? Like Calgary Flames.
Yes, Flames, great. Yeah.
Like, it's a team that just has openings and spots to be claimed. Allow that opportunity. Although that should be Chicago. Like,
Okay, I will pronounce this next name better, which might surprise you because it's more of a toughie. But Yegor Chinakov still wants to be traded. He got to camp, and we were all like, so it's okay. And Frank says that the trade request still ongoing, still clear. Blue Jackets are willing to make something happen. Wait and see. I was kind of hoping that they would all get over this. I want everybody back together.
yeah, I mean, there's still that possibility, though. Like, it seems like the energy behind this whole situation is that, like, it still exists. It's still on the table. Both sides still kind of feel like they're willing to make it happen, but it's not pressing, and it doesn't need to happen. So maybe once the season starts, and if things start to gel there, maybe it comes off the table.
Okay, and lastly, are we ready for year 2 of what are the Colorado Avalanche going to do with this guy who they're probably going to have to give the same number that they wouldn't give another guy?
Cale
It's
Makar?
happening again.
You talking about Cale Makar?
Mari Natchez.
Oh, I don't. The Marty Natchez thing is fascinating.
They're going to have to give him that same contract that they were trying to give Mikko Rantanen. What did they think was going to happen?
I
In
don't
hindsight.
know. I don't know. Especially with Marty Natchez. I mean, like, it's hard to project this happening, but now that it's happened, you look at Marty Natchez and you're like, this guy is seemingly a nightmare to deal with and negotiate with because he was like this in Carolina too.
Yeah, Carolina, that struck me as more of like Carolina's thing. But maybe that was a wrong read because now he's going through it again. I thought that was more of Carolina was like, yeah, this guy's good, but we don't like him as much as everybody else does. And now he's in a new spot and he's going through the same thing. So,
and when you look at his situation, it's like you're playing for a contender. You're playing on the wing of one of the best centers in the entire National Hockey League. You fit within the system. Like, the question is, what are you looking for? Like, what does he want? Does he want to play anywhere?
that'd be amazing. What would be the funniest team that he'd be holding out for?
I don't know.
We might find out once he's on that team.
Yeah. Give us a laugh, Marty.
He's just going to keep moving around. Okay, this has been a great show, a loaded show. Thanks to Daniel Amigone for joining us. Check out Face Off on Friday. And this is our last week of doing what we would call summer eps, off-season eps or whatever. Regular season schedule starts up next week on Monday. It's going to be a very big week for us next week. I think that's as much as we'll say for now, but make sure that you're checking out the YouTube because we've got a YouTube-specific preview coming up that is very what chaos. We've put a lot of work into this, and we'll drop it right before the season probably, and it is going to absolutely bang.
We have a lot of exciting stuff coming on a lot of different fronts. So stay tuned. Obviously, it's exciting that the season starts next week, but we've got a lot of other stuff in the works that we're very excited to bring to you. We survived. I was going to say we survived the summer. we thrived throughout this summer and throughout this offseason.
People liked the offseason
I
episodes.
know.
I felt guilty at points where I was like, damn, are we doing too little? Are we going to lose steam? Whatever. And thank you, folks, for being cool with us.
Yeah, 100%. If you liked this, please go to the YouTube channel. There are many things you can do there, like subscribe, like watch another video, comment. All of that shit is very helpful. We love you, and we will see you next week. Hockey season's back, baby.
We all silly like the mayor.